middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
चुन चुन करके हिसाब लेना ये मेरी फितरत है.
Why should it be a problem if I'm smart enough to have multiple options? You should be admiring me.
भारत झुकने वाला भी नहीं.
The rise of India will be determined by India. It will be determined by our strength, not by the mistakes of others.
The old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who have not subscribed already, please do like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. You help me, I help you. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, now today's video we're going to talk about one more thing, one more action, one more mechanism that has the potential. In fact, I think this is the ultimate thing that has the potential to diminish the dollar dominance over the period of time. And what exactly I'm going to talk about? See, what's happening is that there's this report that's floating and that says that Russia has proposed settling Russia-Bangladesh trade and the Rupee related payments in Indian rupees. Not ruble, not taka, not yuan, Indian rupees. And the proposal also includes a dedicated payment mechanism and potentially a Russian bank branch in Dhaka. And it is expected to be discussed at the Bangladesh-Russia intergovernmental meeting in September or October this year. Nothing has been finalized. India has not publicly approved it, and Russians have not said anything publicly either. But reports are there because the payment has to be made, and President Putin hasn't made any kind of announcement personally about it either. Okay, but the reports are there. So let's talk about the report. I mean, report as in what exactly is going on. Okay, so what's exactly happening is that a little bit of history. Okay, so what happened is that Russia built a nuclear power plant in Bangladesh, and this thing started, I would say, sometime in 2020 or before that. Okay, this project has been there for quite some time now, and um, and Russians made this announcement from India at that time. I don't remember the exact year, but they did it, and because of that, Americans put sanction on Bangladesh. And they came up with all these random reasons that, yeah, we're going to sanction more and this and that. So Bangladesh, so at that time, Sheikh Hasina used to be the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. And Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she said that, okay, you put sanctions, then we are going to use Chinese yuan to trade. We're not going to listen to you. You can keep doing your BS, whatever you are doing, but we're not going to. So, so when she refused to back down, then the regime change happened. The protest and all that nonsensical things happened, and she basically uh, fled to India, or say she was actually given a safe passage to India. India basically protected her. Long coming back to the present day, and this happened because Russians were involved in increasing their trade deals with Bangladesh. And when you put a nuclear reactor somewhere, then it's a $1 billion deal, multi-billion-dollar deal for multiple years, right? And considering the fact that Americans have been trying really, really hard to get rid of all Russian market from the European Union, And after that, Russians moved towards South Asia and Asia, all these Asian markets. So Americans were pretty much not happy about that either. And hence the regime change happened. And after that, they've been doing all they have attempted lots of things, but all that is under control at this point, at least that's what it seems. But coming back to the present day, so it's that same nuclear reactor, nuclear power plant, I would say, that whose payment has to be made to Russia, because all that was done on the loan, on the credit, and nuclear reactor was built. All that happened. Now Russians are saying that, hey, give our money back, give money to us, and so they're trying to figure out a way to get their money back. Why? Because Russians are sanctioned, so they cannot take dollar. And some of you may ask as to uh, why not Chinese yuan or anything? Why Indian rupee specifically? So we'll talk about it. But first, let me actually share my screen real quick and show you the the actual information, the news that is there. Okay, and then we will go from there. Okay, so right here, see, the business analyst, Russia wants rupee based trade with Bangladesh to bypass US sanctions. Okay, so that's that. This is a legitimate news. It's not something that I'm just curating out of thin air. Okay, now, so why this matters geopolitically? See, why it matters geopolitically is that because this is not some attempt to remove dollar from bilateral trade. Russia is proposing that two foreign countries use India's currency to trade with each other. Simple thing. And what will happen? They would represent a more important stage of rupee internationalization, because India has been pushing forward for rupee internationalization for quite some time now. So there are multiple stages to this whole thing. India uses rupee for its own bilateral trade. Then stage two is foreign countries begin accepting rupees, earning through the trade with India. And I'm talking about the geopolitical impact. Geopolitical impact, that's how everything starts. In in small steps, in small stages. Stage one, India is a rupee uses for bilateral trade here and there for small things like tourism or something like that, right? Then stage two will be where foreign countries begin accepting rupees earned through trade with India. Then stage three will be that rupee becomes a settlement bridge between countries, even when India is not the direct buyer or seller. And this is the stage three. The stage three is very crucial. Okay, stage three is the most important stage for a currency to become more popular. Yeah, there are bilateral trade in national currencies and all that is there, but the trade between two third countries, okay, uh, when India is not the direct buyer or seller, that's what matters, and that's why dollar became very important. Okay, because if you look into it, the lots of countries trade with US dollar with United States, and US has trade deficit with all those countries. But then why dollar is so popular? Dollar is so popular because two different countries, they trade with each other even when the deal with the US is not even involved in it. All right, that's the main thing. This is why Chinese yuan has never become popular, because it still has to reach that stage three that I just talked about. Okay, so now coming back to our thing, that India and Bangladesh, they already have launched this rupee based bilateral trade settlement in July 2023. And Russia and India also conduct their trade, almost 95% of their trade in rupee and ruble. Now, this trade is growing so much. Okay, you have to understand this, that for Russia to ask for rupee is because Russians want to invest that rupee into Indian market. That simply should tell you that the trade between Russia and India is growing as well at a rapid pace. For example, uh, India is going to buy more LNG. India is going to invest in LNG in the Arctic, in the Russian LNG in the Arctic. Just now, just recently, India has announced this thing. While US is announcing that they're going to impose 100% tariff on India and all that, but India on the other hand is saying that no, keep imposing tariff. We are going to do what we have to do. Now, so when you are increasing the trade with a country that you're trading in local currencies, then you want to make sure that uh, there is a mechanism, or there are enough partner countries or partner institutions to absorb that volume of that currency. So for example, in the beginning, when India and Russia actually started their trade in national currencies, then they ran into this rupee and ruble exchange problem. And there were Russians were saying that we have too much rupee sitting here, we don't know what to do with it. And Indians were saying that hey, we have too much ruble sitting here, we don't know what to do with it. So when so India said that okay, what we are going to do is that we are going to invest in your oil and gas infrastructure and other things. You open your market for us, and we are going to take that ruble, and we are gonna do export of the commodities to your country as well. And Russians realized that actually Indian markets are way much better than any other market right now. So Russians started to invest in Indian market in rupee. So but that volume, that wasn't even enough, because the trade is growing at a rapid pace. So to absorb more ruble consumption, to absorb more ruble, what India did, India has signed a free trade agreement with CIS countries. So what CIS countries are? CIS countries are basically the countries that have formed this group with Russia. These countries used to be part of Soviet Union back in the day. And all these CIS countries, there are like almost 12 or 13 countries, they all trade in ruble. So when India signs free trade agreement with these countries, then India can trade with them in ruble as well. So India won't have ruble sitting in its banks. Now comes the turn of rupee. Now if you notice that India's rupee is actually accepted in countries like Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, then Indonesia, then Thailand, Myanmar, all these neighboring countries, even in Afghanistan and all. Okay, Indian rupee is acceptable even in UAE and all. So this is why now Russia is applying the same tactics, same mechanism to do the trade in Bangladesh. That okay, let's do the trade in rupee. So the countries where Indian rupee is present and acceptable, then Russians are going to implement this thing in those markets. But all this is fine, right? But now the question really is that why Russians are not using Yuan, their favorite country, their brother in arms, their once a military alliance partner. I don't know what else to say. I mean, Xi Jinping, somebody who doesn't call anyone friend and all that. Xi Jinping refers President Putin as my friend, welcome my friend, like that. So that's the big deal. Then what happened here? See, what happened is that Chinese banks, they chickened out. They chickened out because of US sanctions. They didn't want to become the target of US sanctions because they are helping Russia with their own yuan, their currency, and all that. And because of this sanction fear, Chinese banks, they backed out. Why? Because of all the tariff war and all these things that are going on. I think they just don't want to take the heat anymore. Just they want to play down low. Now, but why India is doing this then? See, India is doing this because India loves to play with fire. Simple. It's not about, for India. It's not about sanctions or anything. What are you going to do? India knows that they cannot apply sanction on India. They don't just don't have the capacity or the balls to do something like that, because it's gonna impact very seriously. It's gonna impact the American market very seriously. So they know this thing, so they cannot do anything. All this, the tariff talk, 100% tariff, and this and that, all that talk that you hear is just talk. All right, it's just talk. Some call it pressure building tactics, and I call it just PR. That's all it is. It's just PR to play tough. That, hey, look, we are not, we are not afraid of India. We are fighting back, and this and that. PR. That's what it is. All these American senators and all, they're just doing PR tactics about when they say 100% tariff, and they will propose the bill. They know that it's not gonna be passed. Everybody knows it. Okay, you will see what I'm talking about. So in India knows this thing, and even if India applies, if the sanction gets applied on India, India is not worried about it. Why? Because uh, it's only going to hurt American companies. All this AI dream will be out of the window. Google, Facebook, your Facebook, Meta, Instagram, whatever you wanna call all that mumbo jumbo. Then you have YouTube. All this will shut down actually if you remove India's market from these companies, because the more than 50% of the user base of these products or the software services is the is in India. So, and India needs the internationalization. India needs to make its currency stronger, and India also needs something where they can increase their export and have a proper balance between import and export. And preferably, if export is more than the import, then it's a lot better. So, so that's that. And this is why Russians basically were asking Bangladesh to pay in the Indian rupee. Just like, and it's not something fancy, quite for frankly, okay? Like when in the beginning, when Russia and India traded, uh, then India made payments in dirham too, in Emirati dirham. They made payments in that currency as well. So it's a very normal thing to do. Now, coming back to my initial point that I was saying, that this has a potential to um, diminish the dollar dominance. Why that is the case? See, it will. So what it will do is that, imagine the regions of multiple currency baskets. Okay, region of multiple currency baskets. What that region is, like for example, Russia is trading with 30 countries in ruble. It has a solid group called CIS countries and all, and they trade in ruble and all that. India has BIMSTEC and other South Asian country grouping that trade in rupee. Then China has the same thing, and these things are being expanded in Africa and all too. So when you will so when different regions start to trade in their regional currencies, like for example, Africa trades in its local currencies. Africa has proper PACM set over there. Okay, PACM as in Pan African Currency Market. They have a currency market. Even the top economies like India, Russia, China and all, they don't have their own currency market. I think India's Gift City just recently built its currency market, but Africa has it, where 54 countries can actually determine the exchange rate among each other, and they can trade with each other. So when you will have these patches of the currency markets and the local currency trades, then eventually what will happen? These small patches are going to um, simply get rid of the dollar. So, and with these patches of small economies and small currencies, they may actually do the currency exchange among each other. For example, India and Africa can come up with the mechanism to trade, like India and Europe is already working on that. Then India and China already have that sorted out. Then India and CIS block, right? So each and every they can work in their local currencies interchangeably. So what will that do? It will slowly and slowly remove the dollar's requirement over the period of time. Yes, dollar will still be there as a backup currency. Now, anybody who thinks the dollar will be just gone and everyone will throw dollar out, so see, that's not the case. Most economies, they use the smart tactics that if it's not broken, don't fix it. Just try to fix what is broken. Okay, so as long as you have a backup plan against the dollar and you're using that as a primary instead of backup, so put dollar in the back burner and just leave the dollar as backup plan, and that's about it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So what we are going to see over the period of time is a fragmented global global financial system with its regional payment systems and regional currency markets. That's what we are going to see. And in fact, some of it is already there, but this is going to become more and more dominant as the American policies become more and more self-centered rather than thinking about the global economic terms. Okay, and America, to an extent, US also wants to devalue its currency so that they can actually pay off the national debt that is sitting at $40 trillion. So if dollar devalues to almost 50% or so, then the national debt will come down to $20 trillion, which is going to be very helpful for them. But that will become a new inflationary baseline for American economy, which means that American economy is going to take a serious jolt at that point. Okay, so this is it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in another video. Take care.